I love Hoda Kotb so much. I've known her forever. She is a broadcast journalist, a television personality, and an author. Hoda joined NBC in 1998 as a correspondent, which has now led her in her role as a main co-anchor of NBC's Today Show and co-host of its entertainment-focused Fourth Hour. Hoda takes pride in being a mother to her two beautiful daughters. We're live from 30 Rock. This is Just Be with Hoda Kotb. Let's get into it. So I'm very excited to live for Hoda. Yay, let's get into it. Okay. Hoda,
Yes.
You're not doing the interviewing today.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Well,
I'm sure we're gonna let you relax.
I want you to say something. Watch me, because I'm good at switching it around.
And you're decent. You have some experience. Okay. So when did we first meet? How long ago did we meet? I think I did a segment with you. I think that's the first time.
I think the very first time you were on the Today Show, was that when you and Martha Stewart were feuding, or was it before that?
Wow, that's a good... Why? Was I on when we were feuding?
I just remember that you were the thing. You became the thing. In the very beginning, I knew you were scared, when I think of you now, I think of you as this ball of confidence, just like ruling the world. But I do remember when you were just coming into the Today Show, and I cannot remember the date, but I do remember the feeling. It was like you wanted everything to be just right.
I did have index cards.
Yeah.
And I came in and we were doing a food segment about like your food personality. We went down that same swervy line we went down today. That weird connected snake tables.
Yes.
To and let's move next to the next station. But I'm trying to think about where you were in your life now, because back then I thought of you in a similar way that I do now. Like you're Hoda Kotb, you're a big deal. And you've evolved so much in your career. So let's say that was like 15 years ago, I want to say. Because we didn't have children. I didn't have Bryn. No. You came out to the Hamptons. I have pictures of us paddle
Navy
boarding.
Beach.
Yes. And we went on my beach and we had all these conversations and we listened to Bruno Mars. It was when one of his first albums came out, and we were just free in a different way.
The feeling of no kids, no worries, no nothing. You don't even know that you're free. But I think I was always so fascinated by you, and I think it was because I had never met anyone who was fearless. I don't think I'd ever spoken to anyone who, to me, felt fearless. And you always had this thing, and I remember thinking to myself, I don't know if that's confidence, I don't know what it is, but you were yourself. And I think as women, and me personally, it takes so long to find your voice, to say what you want to say, to come out with it,
But why? Why do you think? I'm trying to think about, I think I watch people turn themselves inside out to be something that they're not, and it seems so much more exhausting. So why? Like I was watching the Mary Tyler Moore, you saw the documentary, I'm sure, and you probably thought so much about your own career and life and feminism. So why do you think women aren't just able to be themselves? Do you think they don't know who they are yet, or they're trying to be what everyone else wants them to be because of the construct?
I think it is like innately I was, and no longer, but I was a pleaser. Like I wanted to be liked, and I thought that made life so much easier. And to say something brave, to say I don't like that, or to speak up takes a lot of courage. And I sat quietly through most of my career and made much less than my co-anchor, much less, probably half, if that.
And you knew that, and you knew it?
And there were times when I knew it.
And what did you feel every day about it? Or did you think that's just the way it was?
I kind of thought it was the way it was, but I also tried really hard not to think about it, because I think you would start resenting. You're like, but wait, I work longer hours, I do more. And I think it took me until, I'm not kidding, probably like 10 years ago, to finally say, Uncle, like that's enough. I'm going to get what I deserve to get paid. But I think I always felt lucky to be in the room. Like,
well,
thank you.
by the way, I was going to say listen, I got my first season was $7,250 on The Housewives, but you wait.
Wait, 7,000 was your first?
$7,250 for the first season. But I didn't care because good. Let me have the back end. Like in my mind, I'm saying, don't you think that maybe you felt really lucky to be in the room, and then you later thought you had leverage? Like you start to think like, I'm smart. I know when I have a good hand.
It took me a long time to realize that, because when you work with iconic people, you always feel less than, I think. Like, I worked with Kathy Lee, and that's like sitting next to a legend. Sorry.
Right.
You can't even believe that you got the seat.
The dynamic was set up in the beginning. It's the way it is with a parent. Like sometimes, or a parent or a teacher or somebody who, it's me and Martha Stewart, frankly.
Yeah.
If I would have to fight the urge to not, to feel like, to cower, but then to overcome it by somehow being stronger. And it's this whole dynamic, and dynamics are set up in our childhood.
Well, yeah. And I think with Kath, and I remember this really well, I was hosting with Natalie Morales and Ann Curry. It was the three of us. That's how that hour started. And we were hosting together, and one day they were both out sick. And Amy Rosenblum and I were in a restaurant. We were at Michael's, and we walked by and we're like, is that Kathy Lee Gifford at the table over there? Oh my God, it's Kathy Lee. Amy was like, I'm gonna go over it. Let's go over. We love you and we love you. And she was like, oh, thank you. And Amy goes, can you co-host? Are you free one day? And she said, I'm very busy. I don't know if I can. Amy just said, one day.
And you didn't know her?
I met her. I just watched her with Regis we all did. We're like, oh no.
Right. Okay.
So a week later, she came on the show. Her boobs were out. Her cleavage was out. She was running around. She had that big hair, and she was just delighting everybody. And I was mesmerized. I was like, who is this force of freaking nature?
Really, the energy. She
blew the place up, so much so that the big guns from 30 Rock came over, all the execs, wow, Kathy Lou, and all that. And a little while later, they were like, we want her to host.
Oh, my God.
And so they said, okay, you'll host, Kathy will host, and then we'll bring in somebody, we'll see who to host with. And Kathy Lee said, after our one hosting day, she said, if it's not Hoda, I'm not going to do it.
Oh, that's the beginning of some leverage there.
So she also chose me. Mm-hmm. So when someone chooses you too, like she chose me, and I am like forever grateful. I still remember going out to her house, and I was talking to Frank, her husband, Frank Gifford at the time, and he said, I'm going to tell you how this is going to work, if this is going to work for you and my wife. And I said, okay, because
I'm all ears.
And he said, you have to trust someone to catch you when you fall. And she's the most trustworthy person I've ever known in my life.
Wow, that's so deep.
And if you are like that at all, it will work.
Wow.
Because she'll catch you. And you know what? She did.
Wow.
Over and over again. And I think when you work with someone like that, and all of a sudden you feel safe, like think about when you feel safe.
I know. That's so,
yeah.
that is so,
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm.
That's so powerful.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow. And
Mm-hmm.
I just see this. So I remember when we were sitting in the Hamptons and you had been married prior and you had been through health issues and like, I don't want to say you were pleasing. You were very pleasing. And I can, now that we're deconstructing this, see that. Like I remember it seemed, you told me that Ann Curry told you one person at a time. I always remember that. Like that you shake one hand at a time. You connect with one person at a time. And I've always seen you do that. Like I wish I had more of that because I'm moving so quickly and you always stop and connect. And it's really, and I do believe you can build a whole career and life off of that. But maybe back then, you were giving more than you were even giving yourself. I do really remember that, the energy about it.
I remembered, when we knew each other, I was sick with breast cancer, and I was going through, or had just been through, a divorce. And I remembered thinking, because he wasn't there when I was sick, and it was just like piercing to me. But I remembered in that moment thinking to myself, like, had I not gotten sick, I might have stayed with him, and that would not have been the right decision to make, because I think I saw myself as an optimist, and I thought that was a good thing. Optimists make things work. Optimists get things done. Optimists will put a circle in a square
you'll
until
solve
it fits.
the problem, but you're not.
Yes.
It's not about how you feel and what you want. You're going to fix it.
Yes.
Yeah, I get that. I
can do it. I can do it. No, I'm not a quitter. I'm not a quitter.
No,
it's like, dude, some things don't work, and that doesn't make you not optimistic. It just makes you realize something isn't right.
Well, being happy works.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Being happy works. And I think I see you really, really have embraced parenthood. Like you understand the gift that it is. Like that's when you really realize what love really is. I'm going to cry. And then I think that you, like me, wanted to sort of be saved by some man. You were going to meet some like great guy who had everything going for them, and that was kind of going to complete you, like Renee Zellweger. And I feel like motherhood really did that for you. Like you don't feel the same quote unquote need to meet someone. Back then it might have been a need, now it's a want.
Yeah, that's exactly it. That's exactly it. I think motherhood, and with Bryn, just what it feels like every day. I mean, my God.
It's beyond.
But I think when you realize that wasn't meant for you, or you think that at least initially, it's a terrifying part of life because you have to face it. And I remembered never saying out loud that I wanted kids, never, because it was too late. So for girls who it's too late for, you don't say it. Because if you say it, you're expressing something that you're never going to get. It's like saying, I'm going to be an astronaut. It's like it's never going to happen. And I still remember this day like it was yesterday. I was walking through the Hamptons with my friend Jen, and she just casually said, well, we never wanted kids. And I stopped and I looked at her and I go, I actually did. And she goes, you never said that. And I said, because it can't be. So I've just said it. And I couldn't believe I said it out loud. And all of a sudden, when you say something out loud,
you put it into the universe.
Yeah,
you put it out there.
And then everywhere I looked, I saw a sign that it was possible. I saw an interview that Sandra Bullock did. She was like, oh, when I was, 50, I decided I was going to, I was like, you can do that? Look at that. And then I saw this scene. This was a horrible scene. It was from like Syria or some war-torn area. And there was a little boy, and I still remember him. He was like dust covered, and he was all by himself. And I was like, maybe there's a kid who needs me. Like I thought that too. And I was like, I saw that kid and I was like, that child, I don't know if it's possible. And then all of a sudden I just kept everything. It's like when you want to buy a red car and all you see are red cars. Right, it's like that's all I could see. And so,
well, then you kick in. Then you're good at that. Now you can. Once you had a problem to solve, that's not the problem. Just accepting that you wanted to do it.
And I still remember the moment because I filled out all the paperwork and did all the stuff that you do. And then they're like, okay, maybe a year, maybe 6 months, maybe 5 years. Good luck. Bye. And I was sitting in my office where we just were. And I remember like it was yesterday. I was sitting there and I was doing some phone call with some nutritionist about something, and I just remember it was just babbling on and on, and my phone beeped and I looked at it and it was a text, and it said Ashley, and Ashley was the lady from my adoption agency, and she said, if I ever text you, you need to call me back immediately.
I have the chills right now.
I saw her name, I hung up the phone, I took a yellow pad out, I looked at the clock and I wrote 11:55.
Oh my God.
I said, this is the moment everything changes. I knew it.
Oh my God.
And so I took a deep breath, dialed the number. I said, Ashley, and she said 2 words to me. She said, she's here.
I can't even believe
I know,
this.
I was weeping, and I thought to myself, in that moment, she's here. I don't know what birth feels like, and I bet it was amazing, but this was really close. And I remember the feeling like it was yesterday.
Oh, I love you. Oh my God, I really feel you. Like on my bones. Because it was also a release for you.
Yeah.
Like it was allowed.
Yeah. It was amazing.
Oh my God.
Anyway, so it happened. Anyway, but like to understand that, like, so it's sort of like, it reminded me that if you ever have a dream or whatever it is, maybe it's not for a kid, maybe it's for something else, but it's like whisper it, even in the mirror by yourself. It doesn't matter where you do it, to a friend, somebody or nobody, or to yourself. But once it's out, it's out. And I can't even believe I'm sitting here now with a 6-year-old and a 4-year-old. I have 2 children who are my kids. I mean, I always said I wanted to be a teacher, but I think I really wanted to be a teacher because I wanted kids. Like I always said that. When I'm done at NBC, I'm going to go be a teacher. And then one day I was like, I think being a teacher is amazing, but I think there was a need to do that because I couldn't get close enough,
And you have a very, it's such a cliche thing to say, but you have a very normal life, ironically. You really do. Like you love going to Rehoboth and you want to be with your family and going on the boardwalk and people leave you alone, engage with you, but like
Yeah.
you found the balance is the biggest joke of a question. But I think if you're present in each area of your life, you can accomplish that.
Yeah.
I think it's entirely possible.
Yes.
Like, and you're
Without
able to be
question.
so present here and then present there.
Yes.
And you don't seem to feel the guilt, do you?
No, I don't. And I'll tell you, my mom worked. So I mean, she was a working mom, so she went to work. And I go to work. And I tell my kids, I love work and I love you so much more. But I want them to find something they love. But I think what I try to do is a real kind of be here now situation.
Yes.
All the time. And I'm not always great at it, but I really try because like yesterday, I mean, I had a horrible parenting day on Sunday. No one would go to sleep. I lost it. It was not pretty.
Right.
I hated myself. I went to bed. You're the worst. You're the worst. You're the worst. And then the next day I woke up and I wrote in my little journal, I was like, dear God, thank you for a brand new day, a day that will never come this way again, a redo, a chance for another try. And yet I couldn't shake it. You know, when you just can't shake it. So I take the subway because I like the vibe. So I was on the subway and I had this weird epiphany and I was like, what if I was 80 years old and I was told, God said, you know what, you can come back for one day with your kids when they were little, and this is the day. You get one day to relive what it was like when your kids were little, and this is that day. So on the subway, my back got straighter. I was like, I imagined it. I was like, this is the day. I took a deep breath. I went to pick both kids up from school. Hopi was telling me all about her day and why she loves her meat sticks or whatever she was eating. I can't remember. And then we rode to Haley's school and Haley came running out and I was like, I get this day again. Yeah. And I think sometimes like all of us, we get all buried in, minutia and stuff, and stressful day at work means a stressful day at home. And it doesn't have
when you're
to
a little snappy, you're a little impatient.
I hate to be like that. I feel like it's not me. And I want to get rid of that part of me because when you wait so long for something, and you have a bad day, it's a bummer. It's a real bummer.
It is, but they're not made of glass.
Yeah,
they're not made of glass.
True.
They're, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They want to see flaws. You're not supposed to be perfect. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're not supposed to be perfect at all, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And I feel the same way. I think it's the presence, because I've read a statistic about women in the 50s that they spent less time with kids than working moms now, because it was smoking a cigarette, drinking the wine in the kitchen, and let the kid run out free range parenting, running with the other chickens in the road. So like you didn't see until 8 o'clock at night. You know what I mean? They didn't.
Where do you get it, man? It's so bizarre. You're the funniest.
So like they didn't. So we're
right. We're spending more time,
and we're obsessed with everything being perfect, and we're gonna,
Do you think we're messing them up? Like I think about this sometimes. Do you want the red pen or the purple pen? Do you want the blueberry or the raspberry?
Well, I'm not, because I'm half a C. I'm not. I'm like tough titty. Tough titty.
Were you ever like that? Did you ever say, Bryn, would you like an apple or a pear?
No, I wasn't. But I always want to get her what she wants, and she has a great life, and I go,
of course she does.
But then there's the line, and when it bends, it bends. If it breaks, she knows, and I'll look at her, and she'll be like, oh no,
and
now we're screwed. Yeah, I have a line. I am strict indulgent. There is a line, and you cross it, and everyone's Christmas is canceled. Everyone's going home. So yeah, but you know what I mean? Like, but I think that the being present thing was the key. Yeah. I was on, you always get the same dumb question about the balance. And then one day I was like, oh, I'm here. And I like what you said. I love working. Yeah. And I love being a parent. Yeah. And if you're torn in both, then you're really messed up. If you're on the Today Show looking at your phone and worried, or with your kid in the bathtub and then pulled, you got to be sort of.
You got to be there. That is funny. So I didn't know you were such a strict parent.
I'm scary. You know what I mean? As you can imagine, not like I'm strict, but I'm a little scary. Like there's a line and we're all happy and everyone's having a good time. But when we cross that line, no, thank you. That was unacceptable. Like there's a line.
I do think when you think about I'm not generalizing, but I do think some kids who were raised with the red pen, blue pen, purple, you want a purple crayon, and then you get into the workforce.
You mean like everybody gets a medal? Yeah, I'm not that parent.
Well, I think when those kids get into the workforce, it's hard because they're used to having choices and things. I feel like us were raised kind of more with
animals. Yeah. Wolves.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, because I said so.
The tough shit
right.
program.
I mean, I wasn't allowed to yell or stomp up the stairs. I
Right.
screamed into a pillow for years when I was a kid. You just couldn't let it out. It was like, stuff it down. Now, that wasn't a great way to grow to
No,
to
you don't
grow
want to
up.
live in fear.
However,
I know. My daughter doesn't really live in fear.
But however, you can navigate the world and you can go to therapy as a grown-up. But I think the kids who have a million choices, sometimes I wonder if your job is to prepare them for adulthood and get them ready. So for rejection and for no, you don't always get it. You're not going to get it.
Well, that's why so many Harvard graduates don't find the great jobs, because they were told their whole life, you're brilliant, you're smart,
brilliant.
you're going to Harvard, it's amazing, everyone's parents are impressed. And then they get out and like life is tough no matter what school you went to. If you didn't go, if you went. So I agree with you. No, I'm like, she would, Mommy, I'm not good at this sport or something, and I'll set her up to succeed. But if she's not practicing a lot or if she's not doing well, I'll say like, this person's great. Like they are. Like you're great at something. You're not going to be great at everything. And you might not be an NBA player. You should practice, feel good about yourself, build yourself up, set yourself to succeed. But it's okay. You're not, and not everybody wins a medal, and not everyone hits a home run. And I think it's great to let them, totally important. And sometimes it is the tough shit program. I'm very indulgent, but I think you're right with what you're saying. What you're saying is it's hard to raise a child when you've kind of paved the way for them a little bit financially, and the way that you travel and the things that you just naturally do. We get to do things that other kids and parents don't get to do. It could be meeting Santa Claus without having to sit on the line or whatever the thing is. And I often think about that. Like, she doesn't have the same struggles.
Right.
And yet she's also not a nervous wreck half the time like I am.
Yeah.
She's more free. So I think it goes both ways. You have to balance that, I think.
Yeah.
So are you still as driven with work? Like, what now? Because for me, I don't want to say the back nine, that's depressing. But, I think about, I feel sometimes retired. Like sometimes I don't have to do anything if I don't want. A lot of times. I do things because I want to, but most of the time I don't really have to. And you work in a corporate environment. You have gone all the way up the chain, and you still have people to answer to and laws to abide by in the workplace, and you have to play the game.
Yeah,
you're still playing the corporate game, and you have a lot of freedom. So how do you stay motivated, to be here, and what does it all mean? Because as we get older, I think you're thinking, what am I doing? What is this? Why are we here? Why are we working? Why are we not working? What should we be doing? Is this purposeful?
I do think we all start to question like our purpose, like why, because you're here for a reason. I mean, and that's important.
Right.
And sometimes I think I'm on the mark, and sometimes I think I'm missing it. I think that the thing that made my career interesting and makes it interesting here is I don't think I've ever had the same job for that long a period of time. I mean, long in regular people's, but not in this world. So I worked at Dateline for 10, 11 years or whatever it was. That was a whole career in Dateline. Then I got the job with Kath. So I worked with Kathy Lee on the 10
and that was risky.
That was
like now we can think it's all fun and games, but that was risky. That's not a normal transition.
Well, what was weird was, first of all, she chose me, and secondly, as what I'd spent my whole career doing hard news. Like I was in Afghanistan, and I went to Iraq when Saddam Hussein's statue fell, and I was in all the places, and we were in the West Bank and Gaza, and they were shooting all over, like all that stuff I was doing. And then all of a sudden I was going to like this laughing and scratching
all of a sudden you were doing rosé all day. Like from Afghanistan to rosé all day. Right?
And I wasn't sure, like when you do all that work pre-game, is that the right path? Because you don't know. But one thing I did know was when I sat with Kathy Lee, I was happy. And when I was in those scary places, I was putting a circle in a square. I was trying to be a war correspondent. I was trying to be the person who interviewed all these, different kinds of people. I tried to sit across from people in Rikers Island who had, killed their whoever and interviewed them. But deep down, that was not hitting for me. I could do it, and I enjoyed human nature and why someone.
You were good at it, but it might not be good for you.
Yeah.
You also it was probably a little trapping. I mean, the story you just told, I think you're a messenger. The story you told before about it just will inspire so many people about doing something that they thought didn't apply to them or that they couldn't do. And every day you always have some pearl of wisdom or some message. You're a very, very strong messenger. And I feel like maybe reporting news with facts and details can probably be constricting, and it's so serious that you have a whole other part of you. It's not an easy transition to make because you probably thought, am I going to be taken seriously? I tried to go in the other direction. I've tried to be the person on Trainwreck television and then rinse with your technique that you taught us on television, soap and water to wash dishes. So I tried to then rinse my own career and be taken seriously with business, and and it's not that easy. That's different.
It's hard. It's hard both ways.
Yeah, you tried to fuck it all up. You tried to fuck up a whole wet dream is what you tried to do. You were like, I have a very serious career. I'm taking it serious. I'm doing hard news. Or I could sit down and do cheese and wine with Kathy. That was a big move.
And you know what I did? I realized that when you're happy, everything in life is better. And all of a sudden, I felt like I'd been swimming upstream my whole life, and suddenly I was riding a wave. And I didn't even know what riding a wave felt like. I thought life was always swimming upstream. I thought it was supposed to be a struggle. I thought I was supposed to have knots in my stomach. I thought I was supposed to be scared, am I going to do it? I thought I was always supposed to feel that way because when you do something that's meaningful, it must be hard. Well, that's not true.
Right. No, that's not true. And also,
not true.
I feel like this place, because we're here at NBC, I think this place has allowed you to be a Swiss Army knife. Like, they need you to report on something very seriously. You're here.
You can do it.
Like, you have every single, you can do a cooking segment. You could talk to Jenna. You could talk about serious medical issues, talk about, I mean, that's like, you've been an amazing asset, and they've allowed you to
do
thrive.
that.
That's pretty unique.
But I think because my career kept changing, so then after Kathy Lee, that was when everything happened here with Matt. And then I ended up doing anchoring with Savannah, and that's been a whole new. I think we've been 5 years. Is that right? So that's only been
chapter.
That's been 5. So when you think about it, each chapter has been different, and I think that's why it's always been fun for me.
It's felt like you're on a new show each time. Really?
It's like, oh, what's this show? Oh, because being on the 7 is a whole different ball game, and it has its heavy stuff because you're setting the tone for the day.
Right.
But you get to, all the A-listers love to be on the 8, and it's fun to sit with them, and you get a good mix. And Jenna and I, it's a much looser vibe and a whole just a hang. So that's different. So I think it's felt that way, but I do want to make sure that in my life, like, I feel like there's a really good saying, if you have a little, give a little, and if you have a lot, give a lot. Like, you have to walk the walk. And it's not, the idea of having something bigger, having something more is not appealing to me at all. I don't want anything more than what I have.
I love that. Nobody has anything that you want.
Yeah.
That's how I feel exactly.
Yeah.
I feel exactly. It's what you're doing what you want or what feels additive.
Yeah.
But like that's
I
exactly
like it. Right. And it's like that analogy of, how some people, like there's this story of a little kid who's running down the street and he's having so much fun. He's on the sidewalk and he's running and he's like, this is the best. Look how fast I'm running. And he looks over at the sidewalk on the other side of the street and there's another kid running. And all of a sudden he realizes they're kind of racing. And he's like, oh, I gotta keep. And then all of a sudden it went from this blissful, beautiful moment to, now this kid's faster. So he stops and he hangs his head. I'm slow. I'm no good. Run your race. Like, stop looking at the kid on the other side of the sidewalk. And I feel that way about life. It's like you walk into Howard Stern's house and it's so fancy and you say, oh God, why don't I have Italian marble? No, like, that's not it.
I know.
And then what? Like, you're insatiable. You'll have your whole life going, do they have copper piping at their house?
But it's great to not have that, to just not want
Who
it. Who
cares?
I know.
Who cares?
People care deeply.
Why?
Because it's the scoreboard, and it's that's what. But by the way, that's what these shows are like. It's called. I just said it today. It doesn't matter if you actually have money. It just matters if you look like it. And these are scorecards, and you've longed for being a mother and been through medical challenges. And I think you just have a different perspective, and that's not. You realize that it's fool's gold.
I don't care.
There's no there.
No,
you're never going to get there. Yeah,
no. It's like the itch you can't scratch.
I know.
Enjoy. Like, life is going to be like that. And they always say, like, the happiest people are the people who make enough money to pay their bills and go on 2 vacations a year. If you make less, it's horrible and miserable. And if you make more, you're always preoccupied with some BS. I still remember we got some weird AC thing in our apartment, and it was like on the phone, and so it wasn't working. So what happened for 45 minutes? Why isn't the thing working on the wall from my phone thing? Why did I even have that?
Right.
Stop getting things that are making you spend more time taking care of those things.
Yes.
It's like, have less.
It's owning you.
Yes, that's what I feel like. It's sometimes some things are dinky, small like that, and some things are big. You know, it's like someone complaining they got a brand new car. Can you believe what happened to my car? It's like, don't tell me.
Right.
I don't care about your flat tire.
Right.
Okay?
Yes. I really, really do get it.
Yeah.
Because I feel like do you remember what it was like to be really broke, like nervous?
Yeah.
It's not that far away. It's not that far away.
Yes, I remember.
And I can't even believe, I remember when I couldn't take a taxi from uptown to downtown. Like I was the one always walking, and it was like my great fitness because I'd be doing 20 blocks a mile. And at night it didn't feel as safe to be taking the train. So I'd try to walk or go to dinner early. And sometimes you'd have to take a taxi. And it was 62nd Street to get down to West Broadway. It was like $26. And I tell you, that was like, there was no way. You were just doing it on your credit card. I'd always get insufficient funds, and then it's like a domino effect. Then you get the other funds, and then you bounce all the checks and begging on the phone and mad at that person for not giving you a refund on the phone. And if you have that feeling inside, I will always have a little noise about it. Like I still can't believe that's the only thing I have imposter syndrome about. Like, I can't believe I could pay. I want to do that, so I get to do that. What do you mean? I want to eat that, so I get to I get to go today to 7 cookie places and like do a cookie crawl and like I can afford to buy the chocolate chip cookies. I know it sounds crazy. It's not the big stuff. It's not the house. I can't believe I could buy like a bunch of chocolate chip cookies for everybody today. Like it sounds ridiculous, but that's because it's not that long ago, and I like that I have that because it does make you realize.
Yes.
The value. And it also makes you a good tipper.
Yeah.
Because you know.
Oh, you got a tip.
Because you know that person, that money.
Yeah.
The $10 on the $10 cookie thing today, like meant.
Everything
to them.
I remember I used to work at Ponderosa, and I still remember you'd work your tail off, and and some people wouldn't tip at all. And you were like, I cannot believe this. Tip. Man, I mean, that's one of my big pet peeves.
Big thing.
Yeah, that tells you everything about a person.
I know. It's not fair that it's like a lottery.
Yeah.
That it's like a lottery. They get a good or a bad tip or a kid.
Yeah. No,
I'll tell you later, I have a
agree.
whole idea for an app for that because I thought there has to be a way. Who cares?
No, I do. It's another idea that you're going to have. It's going to.
No, yeah, I need more ideas. It's 100% positive. So do you worry about... Are you vain? I've never really thought...
no,
yeah, you're not vain.
no.
We're actually interestingly...
You're the same. You don't care.
I really...
No.
Well, clearly.
Remember today when you showed up in your pajamas? But you know what I love? You roll up the 30 Rock in your slippers. There's like 8,000 paparazzi outside, and you're just rolling hot. You know what? And it's everything you post. You don't care.
What is it? Because let's pretend I do. What's happening? What's going to happen? What happens? I look the best. Then am I getting a prize? Am I getting another cookie? I want to understand. If I look perfect, what's going to fucking happen? I don't understand. If I don't look perfect, there's no bar. This is the bottom. You can't expect, like, I don't understand. What is going to happen?
Nothing's going to happen.
But why are people upset? You're talking about the money. Why are people upset? Why is everybody a filter? Why?
I don't know.
But what are we doing? We know. Or we don't know. I don't know. But you look like a clown and you look perfect. I acknowledge it. What do we do now? What happens next? You're perfect. I don't get it. Just tell me, Hoda, you're smart. I want to know. What happens if I walk in today and look perfect? Are you guys going to pay me to come next time? What's going to happen?
No, we'll never pay.
Are people going to like me more? I don't know. So I don't know what's going to happen.
Oh my God, that makes me laugh. It is so true.
So that's the only thing. I'm a path of least resistance kind of gal.
I think it's funny, but you always know, like I was somewhere out and my collar was flipped in, which is, I can't even believe it was even, functioning. But there was a lady who was like, your collar. I was like, what? What happened? Your collar, it's flipped backwards.
I'm sorry, it was an emergency.
And I was like, but it does show you that I think there is something about how you present yourself that people think matters. I don't.
That you care.
That you care.
You care, like, and I
you
care.
Do care.
Yes, if I make an effort, I'd like the painting to come out nice because that often happens too for me. Like I'll make an effort and then something's wrong and I'm like I came all this way.
Yeah.
I do have a struggle with all that because when when I used to live on 62nd Street
Yeah.
and I wasn't known,
Yeah.
I used to go to Starbucks in my cow pajamas and like pimple medicine. None of these people know who cares. I have
You
a
didn't
pimple
care,
and I'm
no
in
ma-
pajamas.
yeah.
Yeah. Because I didn't understand what's the difference.
So what?
I'm a person. I have pajamas and I want coffee. These are things that are happening at the same time. Why get dressed up, put the eyelashes on to go to Starbucks? I don't understand. I've never understood. So
So we're
yeah.
both not vain. That's good.
So we're both not
I
vain.
like that.
And no, but where are you with age? Because age is a different
Yeah.
thing that we think about with health and being there for your
Yeah.
kids, and that's
Kids.
anxiety. You
Yeah.
must have that anxiety.
I do have it sometimes, but my dad died when he was 54, 55. His birthday, in fact, was May 29th. It just passed. And so he passed away then. Now, I always think that the foundation he laid down was good for me. It helped me in my life. And sometimes I do the math. I look at my mom, who's 86, and I think to myself, okay, what's the difference here between me and her?
I do it too. That's
30.
yes.
It's almost 30. Okay, that's kind of good. So let's see, 30 years. Okay, so I add 30 to Haley and I add 30 to Hope. And I think to myself, won't that be spectacular?
Yes.
I can do that. Wouldn't that be
Yes.
amazing? Like, do I get to see them get married? Maybe. That would be really good. Or do I get to see them have a child? Maybe. But that would be really good.
Yeah.
Like, I think about it, but I don't think about it on the end of, oh no, I won't be able to.
You
blah,
don't.
blah.
You place of yes about it. You're not
Yeah,
place of no about
no.
it.
I would be delighted if all those things were possible, and I think that would be special. And I think it happened in the shower. I literally wrote on the glass my mom's age minus my age, and I looked at the number and I was like,
Because that's literal. You can.
and what if
that's
you get?
tangible.
And what if you get that many years?
Yeah.
that's more than I got with my dad. That's
I think about that too. I
Yeah,
do
you
think about that in the bath with Bryn, and I'm like, don't want her to know how to add. I mean, she's in. I think she knows how. She's 13. I think she can add those numbers, but I like hope she doesn't. I like scramble it up. when
Does
we
she
start
ask
talking.
you about your age and all that stuff?
She makes the connection. I watch her make the connection,
Yeah.
and then I watch her get distracted because it's anxiety for her.
Yeah.
We're very close. It really does get so much nicer. I mean, it
Does
just
it?
keeps getting better. It's so beautiful. They become. And people always say you're not their best friend. I am. We're best friends, and I'm also a
mother.
strict, indulgent
Yeah.
parent. But yeah, we definitely are. I really, really do talk to her. I will say one thing. I noticed that in talking to you about being present, we could be talking and she could come home and we could talk. If we're really, really quiet and go out to dinner or something, and there are no phones involved, she'll really tell me everything. It's very different. Or laying in TV, it's got to be very relaxed. It's never when you want them to talk or when you're sitting down to talk because you're trying to be a proactive parent.
No, it
And
doesn't work.
It really just like comes in when nothing's going on. They'll just say, this made me feel really bad when this happened, or I'm having a trouble with this person. And a lot of crazy stuff does happen at school, and they
Yeah.
don't even realize it's happening. They
Yeah.
know it, but they're stifling it because they're not in touch with their emotions.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say the only thing that I really, really have learned is that you have to really be quiet, no devices, and just like allow the wine to breathe because everything comes out.
What's your device rule? Like, what do you have when it comes
With
to
her, she's an artist. She's not that into it. Sometimes she'll just do it if we're in the car and
Yeah.
I'll see her. If it's after a certain period of time where it feels like you're eating Cheetos just
Yeah.
to eat them, you're
Yeah.
binging Cheetos, like you're not even enjoying them anymore, just like downing the back. I'll be like, off.
Yeah.
Off.
Yeah.
But she's not. That's
She's not that kid.
No, she's not at tables with it, or she never was. Because when she was really little, I was not about the TV. I woke up like with the toothpicks in the eyeballs and was like, oh God, I got to be that parent. But yeah, I think it's really. I do think it's toxic. It's
I do
toxic
too.
for us.
I know.
It's terrible. I think it's gross.
We were talking about a lot of people are doing that wait till 8th or wait till 9th grade or wait till high school to get a phone. And some people are doing why don't we just all give the kids flip phones just so they have a way to communicate, but they are
It's
not.
hard. I'm not.
know.
I can't say that I'm good or I'm winning any awards at that. But she's not that into
Yeah,
it.
that's
I
good.
have. It's my own relationship with it that's toxic.
Same
It's
with
like
me.
gross. I think
Yeah.
it's gross, and
Yeah.
I'm gross, and I want to
You're
beat myself
not
up about. I'm gross. It just makes me. It's gross. The whole thing. It changed. It's gross. All right. So the last.
Yeah.
Well, not the last question.
Yeah.
I could stay here with you forever, but you have to live a life. Is so. What do you think about your work dynamic? Like, do Do you think about your age and people that are coming up underneath you?
That's a good
Do you still have
question.
that competitive thought, or like, oh, are they more interesting, or do you think about that?
I weirdly in my career, that's not been my thing. Like I was always the one who, like, the little engine that could. Like I was going to outwork you. I might not be as bright or as pretty or as smart or all those things, but I'll still be here. I'll be the one, because when I played high school basketball, I would, until the buzzer sounded, I believed we could win. I used to cry after games because I would give every single ounce. And I'm a believer. Like miracles happen. I watched
Right.
it. I mean, I hit the foul shot when no one thought I would do it. So I believe that I can make it and I can make something happen. But the weird thing about our industry is it's like,
it's
look at the
interesting.
women driving the buses,
Well, because
man.
young women need someone to inspire them,
Yeah.
I think, more than ever now.
Yeah.
There's so much going on. And you can, it's funny that you say that, because I've found this crazy thing that we keep joking about, the TikTok thing. It's for baby. They're children, but they need a wacky, crazy aunt. You know what I'm saying? Like you can find your place in this whole thing.
Yes, yes, yes.
You're covering Afghanistan. I'm the wacky, crazy aunt coming in pajamas, but we all have our place in society. No, you know what I'm saying? Though I do
Yes.
like that. It makes you feel free, and you just don't care anymore. It's
I
so
don't.
great.
And I also feel like there's a freedom that has come to me, not just professionally, but personally. And I think finding your purpose and being able to say out loud things that you were scared to say out loud when you were younger, and to realize, like, you get one go at it, man. It's going to be, when you said you're in the box, like, you get one ride around the sun. Like, do you?
I agree.
And I feel like
Exactly.
it's time to be purposeful also in the charity part of life and in the
You
kid
have a
part
big,
of life.
you have
I got a big,
itch.
which
You got
I'm
a
going
big
to come
thing
back and
coming.
share it with you.
I know we're not going to talk about it now, but the last thing is,
Yeah.
do you care? How do I say this properly? Is it important to you to be in a relationship with a man now? Like, is it just, if it happens, it's additive, or do you proactively put it out there because you want it in the universe, or not right now?
Sometimes I have a vision, which is, and I picture this road that I'm on, and it's lush and beautiful, and it's filled with like streams and mountains and pretty everything. It's like, like sometimes you're on a craggy road with potholes and it's kind of dusty and you're like, I don't want to go down this way. I want to go back. And when you're on the right road, you feel it. You're like, oh, this is good. I picture my kids, and sometimes I have a vision of a man walking with us. Like, and I kind of, like the other day, I saw it and it was clear. And this was the road that I imagine my life. Like, when you're living your life right?
Right.
This is your road. Like, I'm on it right now. I know I'm on the road. And sometimes I can see it and sometimes I can't. But I'm, well,
You're
have I
open.
gone on a couple of dates? Sure.
But you're
I have.
open.
I'm open.
You're open.
Of course, because look, your heart's ability to expand is beyond measure. And why limit it because that one was this one or that didn't work? It doesn't, like, I just feel like there's so much in there. It's immeasurable. You could have another kid. You could have another puppy. You could have another, like, there's room for more. So I do keep it open.
And you're allowing for either. Like,
Yeah.
either is
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love you so
I love
much.
you.
Oh my
Love
God.
you, Bethany.